Oh my gosh, guys. I promised myself I was not going to do what I did last time with the lunar update, which was get it all done and then wait days and days and days to get it recorded and get it up. But ugh, these energies have been such a slug for me. Thank you, Mercury Retrograde. I literally had to put on some teeny bopper music just to get this done. And I'm not going to tell you what I was listening to because I don't want you to judge me. It was Katy Perry. Don't come for me. I had to do what I had to do to get this out for you guys. This Cancer new moon takes place right here, the 21st degree of Cancer. And I love it. I hate it. I love it. I hate it. I love it. I hate it. And I kind of want to know in the comments, are you feeling the same? There's a lot of cardinal energy here, which is indicative of the need to take action and feeling cajoled into taking action, spurred to do something, in particular, something new. Interesting that the only planetary communications for this particular new moon are Mercury, who's retrograde, and Saturn in square. Retrograde Mercury deals with the past, Saturn deals with time, and also to some degree the past or history. Despite there's this like, hey, we got to do something new, there's also these planetary poles that are like, hey, why don't you clean up all your nonsense from the past, K Moon and everybody else? Yeah, how about that? And so, yeah, me and my teeny bopper music had to figure out how we were going to be productive in our own life while simultaneously serve and support you. Um, there's a lot of nuance here because Saturn and Mercury are squaring each other, and then there's also plenty of asteroid aspects, which I will get into. But if you're new here, welcome. My name is Kay Moon. I'm a Western astrologer and twin flame channel, and this Cancer new moon takes place on July 14th at 5:43 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States. If you've got do what you got to do music, drop it in the chat. Drop it in the comments for me because I would love to hear who else is embarrassing themselves when they have to listen to some, we just need to get this done music, and you are putting on what you got to put on to get out what you need to get out. Here we go. The conjunction to this Mercury retrograde in Cancer for this new moon is indicative that there is rumination about matters of the heart and emotions, matters concerning family, home, and matters concerning mothers or mothering. Now, because Mercury retrograde is less about communicating and more about reviewing and thinking, this may be a very internal time, and it may also be emotionally confusing or clarifying, depending on how you're taking the square from Saturn and company up here in the sign of Aries. And company includes Eris here, which deals with righteous riot and rage, and where we have felt disenfranchised, left out, abandoned, or shunned. Vesta, which deals with dedication and devotion. Pallas, which deals with protection, but in the sign of Aries, we're specifically talking about self-protection. And as a conglomerate, you just pack in there Saturn, who's been here nearly all year, placing a demand on us to honor who we really are and cut the nonsense, all the people, places, situations, circumstances that don't honor who we are. Saturn's really trying to throw a literal ring around it and keep us separate from those circumstances and situations. We got all that lovely energy square to this ruminating new moon, conjunct Mercury in very emotional water sign Cancer. And yeah, this is a recipe for either a little bit of depression, maybe some negative thinking, And communication under this influence, or trying to resolve conflict or problem solve under this influence, yeah, it can be challenging. To say the least. It can be a little other than how you might like to have it, because no one is really getting the astrological support they need to operate in good faith here. Or assuming best intent of themselves or of others. It can be at its best grounded and very sobering, which I love to see. We love grounded, sobering, real conversations. This is an absence of pie in the sky, wishful thinking. There's an absence of rose-colored glasses here. That can be really helpful if you've been in a situation where there have been a lot of false promises, false hopes, missing information or details, lots of ignoring red flags. Um, if you've been, trying to make Delulu the Salulu and it's really only created a bunch of confufu, then it's time for this new moon to help you bring your feet back down to the planet. On the other hand, in situations where you need to approach things with faith or optimism, where you need to proceed in good faith or in the assumption of good intent, this transit here is going to make it real difficult. The doubt, the disillusionment inherent in Saturn squaring both Mercury, who's retrograde, and a new moon in Cancer, it can lead to a bunch of distrust, misunderstandings, even to some degree, like pessimism, like painting everything over with you know, bleak, catastrophic sort of lenses or frameworks, lots of cognitive distortion. And so, on the opposite end of optimism, pessimism, neither one of them is truth, right? Neither one of them cuts to the heart of a thing. And so, a word to my folks who take shade and pessimism and negging as quote unquote just dealing with reality. A transit like this is actually going to exacerbate that approach to life and really make you a bit depressed. And so it'll be very helpful to slide that pendulum a little bit closer to the middle because, everything in reality isn't all bleak and doom and gloom. Likewise, a word to my folks who typically are ignoring things that really do need attention, like health issues or financial issues or, being taken for granted or abuse in relationships. You're just hoping it's going to get better. A transit like this is really going to force you to face reality in some ways that are going to be unignorable, but you can still approach them in positive ways. So, a little right sizing here of perspective will go a long way. Know which camp you fall in. The retrograde energy of Mercury and the emotional energy of the moon in Cancer can really have us reminiscing or remembering things that have hurt us in the past or didn't work out or didn't go well. And with friends, sitting with Saturn, that little whole crew up there, it can really have us wandering into a place of like self-discounting or low self-esteem, and then doubling down and committing to that perspective of woe is me. It's very Eeyore, very, very Eeyore, if I do say so myself. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with Eeyore, just ask somebody in the comments. They'll fill you in. They'll fill you in. They'll let you know who Eeyore is. Okay, so both your parts and other people's parts in situations that didn't go well can kind of sit on a loop in your brain here with some of this. And if you let these energies overtake your mind, you will find that ruinous thoughts can be the foundation of ruinous actions or ruinous inaction, as the case can be in certain situations. Now, with that in mind, we enter the energy of this new moon with some caution. Now, let's add to this a little bit of Pallas. So Pallas is this one right here, shaped like a diamond with a cross underneath. It's an energy of self-protection. Vesta here, like I mentioned, she's all those V's with a little flame on top. She's the energy of dedication and devotion. And Aries is that energy of righteous riot and rage for where we've been excluded or disenfranchised. Together, this combo really set the stage for a lot of defensiveness, self-righteousness, perhaps even some self-victimization. I can't lie, this is going to be a tough full moon for some folks. However, there is a silver lining though. None of the transits are without purpose for somebody. So here's the deal with this transit. If you've been in a situation where you can't get to the bottom of some challenging emotions, or you're stuck in an emotional rut, or you're frustrated over a situation that feels misaligned or unclear, the challenging thoughts and emotions you may experience can help you get to clarity about why you are where you are. How did you even get here? And what do you need to move forward? There is some indication that the ability to look outward, blame someone else, or look at what they did or didn't do will lead you right back to the mirror in this situation with Saturn, Pallas, Vesta, Eris, all in the sign that deals with, you guessed it, the person in the mirror. So there's an inescapability from who we are and our own choices and actions that brought us into our current situations that are under review at this new moon and this Mercury retrograde. The challenge is to not land in self-pity or self-blame, or go to extremes looking for discouraging or disparaging storylines or cognitive distortions that are, black or white thinking, all or nothing, and instead use this time to really step into our next level of self-accountability and responsibility for our lives, right? And so there's even cognitive distortion in that too, where we can go to the extreme of, well, yeah, I should just never rely on or count on anybody else. The only person I can rely on in life is myself. And the reason why I am where I am is because I trusted other people. And you just can't trust people these days. That too, right, is an extreme. We're not meant to go to that extreme either. The emotional review component here is meant to help us reveal, the deeper emotions and what they're trying to say about, where we need to be with ourselves, choices we can make in some new ways. Like, hey, I'm realizing I've been pissed off because I felt so under supported. And maybe this transit is saying, my own participation in being under supported is that I never revealed that I needed help. I never asked, or I asked people whom I knew to be incapable of supporting me instead of asking people who could support me, right? So there's the accountability component is really the emotional tension is like the universe holding our fingers to the flame and saying, I need you to look again. Why are you feeling this way? What can you have done differently? And how can you give yourself a little bit of love, self-compassion with this self-accountability, a little bit of devotion, and give yourself a little bit of self-protection here, so that as Mercury then turns direct at the end of July, we have new choices in mind for where we go from here. Okay. We see a semi-sextile to Ceres here in Gemini for this new moon. She's right up behind at the 18th degree of Gemini. So the knee-jerk reaction with Ceres in this position is going to be to push for closure. In shadow, this is like assuming foregone conclusions, insisting on counting chickens before they hatch. This action can make things a bit messier before they get clearer because we're utilizing likely a bit of incomplete information, given that Gemini is all about exploration and Mercury's retrograde, so all the information likely hasn't even arisen yet. That said, this is a great time to allow yourself to explore. Ask the question, why? If you find this new moon challenging, why am I feeling this way? Why do I think that? Why do I want to do X, Y, Z? Why do I not want to do A, B, C? What's the thought? What's the belief? What's the fear? What's the conclusion I've drawn behind that thought or feeling? Getting into self-exploration mode will help us use this transit wisely instead of just gritting our teeth or white knuckling our way through it. And I want to just throw in a word of caution here because it was some stuff I'm going to talk to you guys in Star Club about. And if you want to join, you can join as a Stellium member. I have left that membership open, even though the spots with readings have sold out for this cohort. Jupiter and Neptune in communication. For those who struggle with any format of addictive behavior, and even we can even get addicted to our own negative thinking, even though we don't like to think negatively. Sometimes it can make us feel safer than sitting with the unknown. I'm calling attention to that because with Jupiter and Neptune in communication, we'll go deeper into what to do about this because there are mitigating factors in the sky. It can be easy to just opt out of self and opt into avoidance at this new moon. So I wanted to make sure I called that out and name that for those of you who are sensitive to intense energies, because this new moon, for the reasons I just described and plenty of other reasons for things in the sky, are absolutely creating a very intense atmosphere right now. Okay. I want to offer a couple of reinterpretations of this new moon energy for those dealing with housing issues and mother or mothering challenges. While everything already said certainly applies to your situation as foundational, here are some nuances to consider for those dealing with housing, home, or family situations. This may be where you need to review the contracts, revisit who you've been giving the benefit of the doubt to, if they're family members, reevaluate the feasibility of certain housing plans, reset boundaries so they're more appropriate to your needs if you're settling in resentment or disappointment about the way things have gone in the past. For some, this is going to lead to new housing arrangements in totality. Just make sure you have all the details before you make any decisions. That may have to be unmade when Mercury goes direct in a couple of weeks' time and more information surfaces and provides clearer vantage point about what's going on. Okay. For those who are dealing with mothers, mothering challenges, this may be where you need to have a look at your personal choices and make rectifications, restructurings, and restitutions if you recognize some form of your own choices as a mother aren't aligned with who you really are and who you want to be. And if you're not a mother, but instead dealing with one, your own stepmother, a mother of your child, this is where you may find that the same also applies. You may need to review the structure of some things that aren't working for you when it comes to that relationship. Consider your feelings, how you've shown up, if you've overemphasized your needs at someone else's expense or downplayed your needs at your own expense. This is where clarification, rectification, restitution are set to take place for you. Okay? Let's have a look at a trine to Nessus in Pisces here. Here's our new moon, 21st degree of Cancer. Here's Nessus in Pisces, because I mean, wouldn't be a party if we didn't invite Nessus. The thing about Nessus is it always adds obsession to the mix. Whatever the feelings and the thoughts are, we're bound to loop on them like our fingers are being held to a fire in order to work toward resolution. This is legitimately I can't even sleep right at night until I figure this out sort of transit. Now, if you know you're the kind of person prone to self-deprecation and raking yourself over the coals, really gonna be important to not be a victim of your own mind, because at a new moon like this, self-abuse can be really high. Take it easy. Get the message, write it down, take a walk, take a bath, chill. On the other hand, if you know you've been stuck or avoiding an issue, the aspects, especially and including Nessus, can force you to deal with things that absolutely have been begging for your attention. Better to do it while it's an issue in your mind that you can't check out from than to do it before it's an issue in the world that you can't run from any longer. Lastly, before we get into first look and elsewhere in the sky, where I'll take you into what the next full moon looks like from here, and we talk a little bit about the signs who are going to feel this particular new moon the most, it's important to know that this is a preview and a warm up to the solar eclipse in Leo on August 12th. Just gonna pop over here. I pulled this up just so that you guys could see it. This new moon solar eclipse on August 12th does promise to be a significantly better feeling energy. I want to be clear, this isn't about ducking our head in the sand and just waiting for this Cancer new moon to pass because it'll all be better in August. This is really about utilizing this Cancer new moon energy to clean house, to tie up some loose ends so that we're in a more empowered place by the time the new moon solar eclipse, new beginnings on steroids, as Nadia Shah says, comes into the mix. So I really love to see that for you, for all of us, that the energy does change. It's a bit of a process, but if we can do, eat a few vegetables now, I promise dessert will be that much more satisfying. This new moon is also the last new moon of the Pisces Virgo nodal axis for this season, for 2026. So what's happening now, even this is a bit of a new beginning, even if there are some closures. It's also a part of a conclusion of a period of any self-betrayal and self-denial where there may have been in relationships, at work, friendships, family, romantic, otherwise, neighborhood, where there's been self-betrayal or there's been self-denial. This new moon calls you out on it and asks you, what are you going to do to stop? Turn over a new leaf. Be a better version of you, for you, and to you. Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on elsewhere in the sky. These are some of the aspects I'm going to cover in Star Club. I'm going to take a look at Mars in Gemini here. Link to join. The stellium membership is below. Inside the lunar circles, where we talk about the elsewhere in the sky components in detail, I tell you how to work with some of these complicated aspects. And then we do ritual, or we do journal prompts so that you can stop thinking about these energies and do something about them that's a bit more productive and start moving your life in a far better upward spiral. So we've got Mars in Gemini. It is conjunct Uranus there in Gemini. It's sextile Jupiter in Leo. We also see a square to Venus here in Virgo, trine to Makemake in Libra here, and a trine to Juno and Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, and a sextile to Neptune in Aries. Ooh la la, that is a lot going on for all of these to be in communication at once. Together, I'm going to be honest, they're really going to stir the pot in the arena of love, relationship, and partnership in some very interesting and in some situations challenging ways. This is very much a thread the needle kind of energy, where we're crossing through the eye of the needle. There's going to be some ways that, unfortunately, without knowing how to navigate this, it's going to be very easy to like throw the baby out with the bathwater. And in Star Club, we're going to talk about how to not do that and what you're looking and listening for and the actions you want to take and not take to avoid creating problems while Mercury is retrograde in relationship and partnership. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Jupiter in Leo, trining this Neptune in Aries. It's not a great look for those who are really trying to avoid escapist tendencies. We also see a sextile to Uranus and Mars in Gemini, that pair right there, and a semi-sextile to Venus in Virgo, an opposition to Juno and Pluto, both retrograde there inside of Aquarius, a square to Makemake there, and a square to Chiron in Taurus. This is going to open up some, like I said, some escapist tendencies. And it's also an energy that I don't love to see when it comes to those of you who are struggling with folks who maybe you've had to, get a restraining order against, you've drawn some boundaries, they've overstepped those. I'm going to talk about this a little bit more over in the Twin Flame Lunar Update. Um, for those of you who follow that, join me over there. If you have that kind of issue in life, join me over there because that message will probably be important for you. But all together, this combo, I've been talking to you guys in Star Club about this a lot, especially when you see these three, Mars, Uranus, and Pluto in the mix, having a communication with one another. I told you guys there would be a like a dust up and a continuation of what we're seeing in over in the place that's east of middle, I guess you could say. um these three planets together bring that sort of energy into the table. They're going to continue to move in and out of conversation as Mars changes signs every 40 days or so. We just saw another dust up with that. We're going to talk a little bit about what this means for world events, where there is some format of relief and how we can contribute to solutions, energetically and spiritually in Star Club. And then we're also going to talk about Neptune, Pluto, and Chiron and Uranus all being in a life-changing conversation together at this time. I've mentioned this since 2025 that this is the end of one world as we know it and the continued solidification of a new one. I'm going to talk to you guys about what that means and what that looks like for you on a more personal level in Star Club. Okay, so link to join Star Club is below. We've got a great ritual that we're going to be doing for this Cancer new moon, perhaps even a little bit of journal work. I may blend the two together here so that you can start to work with these energies consciously. Signs who are going to feel this new moon the most, of course, Cancer, shout out to you, happy birthday season. Aries, Capricorn, and Libra, fellow cardinal signs, Scorpio and Pisces. If you've got sun, moon, rising, or stelliums in any of these signs, you may find that this Cancer new moon packs, it's a little denser. It's a denser energy to move through as we come into the month of July. All right, let's get into first look now. Okay, let's look at our Aquarius full moon. This is a pre-eclipse activation date for our lunar eclipse in Pisces that takes place on August 28th. This Aquarius full moon takes place on July 29th. This is the 1 month prior activation date. So many of you who are sensitive may feel as we get toward this Aquarius full moon, specifically around this 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st of July, that events that take place here have a lot to do with that Pisces full moon lunar eclipse that's coming in roughly a month's time. Here is our Aquarius full moon at the 6th degree of Aquarius. Joy, look at this, conjunct Pluto and Juno. Opposite Jupiter. Wow, at least Mercury's direct. Then we certainly see activation here from Uranus. Please tell me Mars has moved on. He has, thank God. We see some activation from Neptune there, as well as semi-sextile energy from Pholus and activation from the shaman's asteroid and a square from Haumea, the creation goddess. Well, this will also be one for the books. I mean, as joyful as June was, July is about to just be, I can think of other words. I just will speak life and positivity for now because I think this is about to be a period of great revelation for many. I like that because with a full moon like this, the intensity showing with Pluto and Juno is going to give us opportunities to clean up any of the relationship shenanigans that went on over the course of Mercury retrograde. Now that Mercury is direct, this is going to be an opportunity to look at things with a more collaborative mindset and a spirit of greater, I guess you could say, willingness to work together. Is it perfect? No. Is it super harmonious? Not really. But new insights can come forward with an aspect from Uranus and Gemini to this full moon. Neptune retrograde in Aries in a sextile to this full moon in Aquarius does lend itself to a bit more of a spiritual approach. Forgot we have Chiron here. Yeah, there's hmm, let's just talk about it when we get there. That's all I'm going to say about that. Let's just wait till we get there. I see I have one more of these little lunations where I'm like, gonna have to put on some fun music in order to make sure that I get it out on time. So if you've got fun music for me, let me know in the comments. Thanks so much for likes, watch, subscribes, shares, and especially thank you for sharing anything that's going on for you that this has helped you understand better or see in a different light. I look forward to reading those comments when I have a moment. And if you're joining me for the Twin Flame Lunar Update, I'll see you over there. Take great care. Bye for now.